己を磨き次なるステージに上がるためケンタが挑む7つの試練。ケンタ襲撃7番勝負、1勝2敗で迎える第4戦は間違いなくこれまでで最も厚く高い壁、高山義弘との一戦になりました。激戦のノアジュニアにあって独自のファイトスタイル、キックを確立したケンタ、その蹴りは果たして本家本元高山に通用するのか。
The year is 2004. The date, June 27th. I am almost 11 months old. And in the hot, sweaty, and packed Corkin Hall, in the dead heat of the summer, in front of 2,100 people, Kenta prepares to take on perhaps his biggest challenge yet. Earlier in the year, Kenta had begun his 7-match trial, a series of matches against higher caliber opponents for the junior heavyweight star, a chance for the kid to make a name for himself. He had started the series promising enough, defeating Juventud Guerrera of WCW Cruiserweight fame, but followed it up with losses to Yoshihiro Ogawa and Jun Akiyama. Now he stands before a new challenger, a star not only in pro wrestling, but also in MMA. A man who only 2 months earlier was challenging his stablemate and leader Kenta Kobashi for the GHC World Heavyweight Championship, Yoshihiro Takayama. And going into his 4th trial with 2 losses in a row, Kenta has a chip on his shoulder. Even before the bell rings, you can see the story that will play out in this match. Takayama towers over Kenta in size and stature. The younger, more brash Kenta doesn't flinch an inch though. And what he lacks in size, you can immediately tell he makes up for in attitude. As the match starts, it wastes no time introducing you to the character dynamics between these two wrestlers. Takayama, the veteran, extends his hand for a respectful handshake. Kenta, the brash, disrespectful, cocky even, young upstart, attempts to kick his hand away. He's not looking for an easier, respectful bout. He only knows one way, the hard way. But before they even touch, Takayama is already one step ahead, moving his hand away before Kenta can try to embarrass him. This isn't Takayama's first rodeo. Takayama's cool, calm, collected. Kenta is chomping at the bit to get started, eager, reckless. As the match begins, Kenta immediately tries to kick Takayama as hard as he can. It's clear that he only knows one speed, and that's top speed. But Takayama carelessly checks these kicks, with little more consideration than one would give a gnat that they're trying to swat away. Kenta throws shots at the bigger man. Some of them land, but they have little effect. As soon as Takayama gets one good knee lift in, though, Kenta is immediately on the back pedal. For every 2 to 3 strikes Kenta gets in on Takayama, Takayama only gets one, but he makes his count a lot more. It's clear that Kenta has a chip on his shoulder. He tries to go in on Takayama fast and hard early on, but Takayama is easily able to weather the storm and completely floor Kenta. If this was a shoot fight, it would be called here. As Kenta lies motionless on the ground, only beginning to stir, Takayama almost looks disappointed in the kid. All that energy and fight he had in him, and it was this easy? A real, I expected more out of you type vibe. After Kenta gets up, he's immediately floored again, and as he tries to get back to his feet, Takayama runs at him with another knee lift for his troubles. He lifts Kenta above his head and gorilla presses him straight out of the ring onto the floor as if he was a literal bag of trash. The respect he tried to give him is gone. Now, Kenta's little more than garbage to Takayama. He goes out of the ring just to deliver a brutal roundhouse to Kenta's barely conscious body, and at this point in the match, you get an interesting feeling. Kenta, without a shadow of a doubt, brought this on himself. Because of his cocky, brash disrespect, the once respectful Takayama is now going out of his way to make Kenta pay. But you can't help but sympathize with him. This isn't a slimy heel getting his comeuppance, it's a fiery newcomer with a chip on his shoulder being killed before your very eyes. Takayama, however, doesn't share the viewer or the crowd's sympathies. He's not one to tolerate disrespect, and with every sick-sounding thud, From his brutal kicks, he shows no remorse for Baby K. Not even allowing him to get to his own feet, he brutalizes Kenta. The closest he shows to remorse is an effortless 1-foot cover, almost just testing him, giving a chance to stay down and take the easy way out, but only at the bottom of his boot. Kenta still has more left in him though, and he's not going to go out like that. As Kenta finally pulls himself to his feet, holding on to Takayama just to stand up, he puts everything into the shots he can get in, unleashing a barrage of slaps on Takayama, and the crowd comes alive. It's hard not to cheer for Kenta. He truly puts every ounce of his mind, body, and soul into every single strike he delivers, but once again, in contrast to Kenta's energetic offense, it only takes one shot. This time, a closed fist from Takayama with little to no effort to return Kenta to the ground. But again, this kid keeps getting up. This time at a referee count of 7, Kenta gets his feet under him. But Takayama, now seeing just the fact that Kenta isn't staying down as a sign of disrespect, grabs him by the hair and bitch slaps him in the corner. Definitely with the vibe of trying to put Kenta in his place. One way or another, the Kenta that leaves this match will be severely humbled. But Kenta is not the type to just take this lying down. As Takayama rushes Kenta in the corner, he gets both his boots up to stun Takayama, and reaps the opportunity for all it's worth, guillotining Takayama over the top rope, avoiding a kick, and hitting a springboard drop kick of his own, showing that he still has a lot more fight left in him. The same goes for Takayama, however, getting a disrespectful shoulder up at the count of 1, but you reap what you sow, and Kenta delivers a brutal soccer kick of his own, only to go for a 1-foot cover on Takayama to pay him back for the disrespect. And as Takayama begins to rise to his feet, there's this beautiful sequence where Takayama is rising to his feet and Kenta is nailing him with kicks to the torso. And Takayama's continuing to get up as if they have no effect on him, until they do. And as Kenta kicks him in the head, Takayama begins to go down, and Kenta brings him to the ground and gets a very close 2 count. The disrespectful arrogance, spite, and hatred is gone from Takayama's face, and now is replaced by a man who is not only in a fight, but in the backseat, worried even. And even as Takayama cuts him off, he is no longer taking his time. He immediately tries to hit Kenta with a backdrop, but with his superior speed and mobility, Kenta flips out of it and catches Takayama with a victory roll for another close 2 count. Kenta unleashes another barrage of strikes on Takayama, who this time doesn't choose to take them on the chin to conserve his energy, but has no choice to take them. After a long string of attacks, Takayama manages to find an opening though, kneeing Kenta in the head and flooring him again. But now, instead of calmly and arrogantly waiting for Kenta to rise, he is out of it, barely standing, holding himself up by the ropes after the onslaught. Not choosing to not follow up out of arrogance, but unable to follow up after the beating Kenta has given him. As he recovers, he kicks him again, and we see the look on Takayama's face. Not of disrespect or anger that Kenta won't stay down, but hoping he will, praying he'll stay down, a look of worry that he'll get up. And Kenta does. And now Kenta slowly rises as Takayama fires kicks at him, not out of anger or aggression, but purely desperation, trying to keep him from getting up. But they aren't enough, and Kenta catches a kick to deliver an exploder suplex on his much larger opponent. Kenta, filled with piss and vinegar, steals Takayama's signature knee lift and high angle adverse suplex and dumps Takayama on his neck for another close 2 count. This match is now nowhere near as one-sided as the viewer or Takayama himself thought it would be. Kenta hits his Kenta combo and goes off the ropes. Takayama once again tries to cut him off with a big boot, but Kenta, now having learned from earlier in the match with wisdom beyond his years, avoids the boot and comes off the other rope to nail Takayama with his signature Busaiko knee. He goes for the cover and gets a 1, a 2, and Takayama, now unable to kick out, only survives by getting his foot on the ropes. If Kenta had more experience or luck, this would have been over. Takayama barely survives and only survives by his veteran savvy. Kenta doesn't let off the gas though, continuing to bombard Takayama with brutal shots, and you can see he is truly putting everything he has into them, eventually hitting the same closed fist shots that Takayama had delivered to Kenta earlier in the match. And now it's Takayama dropping to the emerald canvas like a sack of rocks at the hands of Kenta, and as Takayama shoots his arm up for 2, Kenta exhibits a savvy of his own, catching that arm and locking in an armbar on the now out of it Takayama, transitioning it into a triangle and letting go before Takayama can powerbomb him, but being cut off with another brutal knee to the sternum. And you can see Kenta is trying so hard to get up, but he just doesn't have that much left in him after absorbing all of these shots. But with what little is left, Kenta gets to his knees, only to be met by another sickening kick. And the ref counts, and Kenta has almost nothing left, but he still managed to get up, only running on fumes at this point. And as we get a look at Takayama, we can now see a look of almost respect. He's impressed that Kenta gets back to his feet, but he isn't gonna let up, nailing Kenta with a hell of a kick, only to pull him into the middle and hit a tree slam. And as Kenta's barely conscious body staggers up, he's met with another brutal knee lift straight to his face. Takayama, knowing Kenta's done, puts one foot over his limp body for what he knows will be a 3. One last chance for Kenta to take the easy way. But Kenta still isn't saying die, once again kicking out, using up what little he had left in him. For Kenta, there was only one way out. Takayama pulls him up for a brutal facebuster and goes off the ropes at full speed to deliver one last slug in Kenta's skull, knocking him out with a brutal knee lift for the 3. As he begins to leave, he looks at Kenta. The anger, the hostility has faded, and in the heat of battle, Takayama and Kenta forge something. He looks at Kenta and perhaps sees maybe a kindred spirit. He stands over him as he slowly begins to get to his feet, clinging on to Takayama as if he doesn't even know the match has ended. And Takayama embraces him, raising his arm, finally having earned each other's respect the only way they know how. The hard way. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you staying till the end. If you enjoyed it and maybe want to see more, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. If you wanted to keep up with me, I'm fairly active on the old Twitter, mainly just thirsting over Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, and Heyman page too. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.